Thank you so much for coming in. I really do appreciate it. Okay, so this gets us back to our fantastic panel, and really appreciate everyone's comments and thoughts. I would love to ask Professor Sonnenschein, but the other folks can comment on this too, Professor Levinson. Why is it that we have a registration process, voter registration process, when I know in Mexico, for example, you turn 18, you're automatically, registered to vote, you get a voter card. That's your national ID. It's also your voting cédula, they call it. Love to get a better sense of the history and the reasons why we have a separate registration process when everyone knows. When the government has a list of every citizen already.
Well, I think you just said it in that last phrase, which is that there's always been a huge suspicion of government record keeping, of ID cards. We do not have an ID card, and nobody thinks there should be a national ID card.
So we create a whole nother registration system.
Correct. We create a voluntary, put the burden on the voter, but historically, voting has never been that easy in the United States, even going back to colonial times. In fact, it has always been a battle to make it easier, to make it more inclusive. Remember that the biggest battles were about who would literally be allowed to vote in the first place. Right. So that really took the lead, and then because the individual states have had so much autonomy in voting, and the Constitution, unfortunately, really puts voting in the hands of the individual states, it has been remarkable to me that even in recent years, although a number of states have talked about automatic registration, nobody's really pulled the trigger. It's very odd. The new governor of Oregon, as Secretary of State, which is the position she's coming from, was a strong advocate of that. And it'd be very interesting to see. I was sort of hoping California would jump first, but it's been discussed in a couple of states. I think what it runs up against is a little bit like the Australian model of mandatory voting, is the strong strain of suspicion of the government in the United States. And it's odd because this would be the government giving us easy access to a right. It's not a tax, it's nothing like that. And it wouldn't be a penalty for not doing it. What's that?
Giving you the right to control the government.
Right, but I think that people in politics, even in states where it ought to be adopted, have been reluctant to just go that last extra step. So what we end up doing is we do everything but. We try to make it easier. We do it online. We try to, we show up at your house and say, can we help you register to vote? And we don't do the obvious thing that would allow us to save all that. But I think it has to do with the sort of culture of suspicion of government. That'd be my guess. I don't know if you guys agree.
I think it's a culture of suspicion, and you said, Senator Allen, the right to control the government. My understanding based on my memory is that we didn't want certain people to have the right to control the government, so that certain people are less likely to register to vote. Everyone in the room is likely to register. Immigrants, working class people, people who didn't look like the people who were in control of the government levers. So I think it was actually quite a hostile act to put the burden on people who were less likely to take that step, and therefore try and control who could weigh in on who could control the government.
Do you want to jump in on something?
Wait a second. Lightning round. Would every one of the member of the panelists support automatic registration if you had a vote in the legislature, if you were governor?
This afternoon.
After the football game, I know. Yeah.
There's a football game? Absolutely.
I'm with you, but you'll.
I would, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I think it's important to also make sure that we accurately contract the racial and ethnic demographic groups. I don't know if automatic registration would lose that, but it'd certainly be a concern. And I'm glad that the supervisor came and spoke, because that was a battle in 2004 to 2006. There was an effort to actually remove the opportunity to designate one's ethnicity in some of these forms. Now, through Cover California and similar kind of governmental service metrics, it's likely that information will be tracked. But if we're not intentional, that would easily be swept under the rug, I suspect.
Can I just engage the chairman? Yeah, but can't you have automatic registration with that intentionality? Yeah, I mean, you just track it. It doesn't seem to be a big issue. I mean, this whole registration system, Protestant white men who own land were the only voters when this country started as a alleged democracy, right? And the whole argument is it took until after the Voting Rights Act to really start actually getting the beginning frames of a real democracy. But,
Just wanted to mention that because it kind of became a bureaucratic, and a couple of external interest groups for various reasons said that, they were reaching for pluralism, but they were missing the beautiful tapestry of this state, of this country, in attempting to. That's the negative aspect of scrubbing the rolls that I think that some at the time were talking about. But it's just something to mention. That's all.
Thank you. So as you look at other jurisdictions, other counties, other states, other nations, who out there has it right? Who do you look at in your studies and think, God, I really wish California or wish LA County, wish City of LA could be more like?
So, well, I mean, I'm never satisfied with anything. So I don't think, I don't think anyone has it exactly right. I mean, there are things that are incredibly difficult to change, like the culture in LA. So I was talking to a colleague last night in preparation for the testimony, and she said, when I went to college in Santa Cruz, by the end of my first semester, I had met every council person. And so we just have intangibles that are difficult to do. So I know that LA County is a huge county, and I know that Dean Logan is going to talk about this, but we have like the same number of people registered, or excuse me, dedicated to do outreach in LA County as like Stanislaus County has. So outreach is key. I mean, I'm on the board of an organization called See Political that does animated videos to explain to people what are we actually voting on. And so I think outreach of the county registrar to really become part of the fabric of voters' lives and to explain to them, here's when we're voting, here's how you can do it, here's what we're voting on, here's an easy way to understand would be enormously helpful. And, changing the culture, I mean, I'd love to hear from people as to how we can do that. Again, it's very hard when you have to spend an hour and a half in the car to cross a district.
Yep. Yeah.
I wouldn't compare us to other countries because they have simpler systems. It's actually an easier task. I mean, most of them have parliamentary systems where they have a big election every few years that determines everything and people vote in that. But even they are, in many other countries, concerned about the declining turnout of young people. This is actually worldwide. In this country, I think the state that maybe did the most until it was reversed in the last few years was North Carolina. Was perhaps one of the most progressive states in the country. They've now abandoned almost all of the procedures they had, including they had wonderful early voting, they had ways to encourage young people to vote, and it was a model for everybody else. It's, I think, very sad that it's been, I think it was reversed because it was working. Some of the other western and southwestern states, Colorado, Oregon, Washington, and the Northwest have done interesting stuff. And my guess is those will be real pioneers now that we'll probably be looking at.
And you mentioned North Carolina, and the supervisor mentioned Shelby and Section 4. And so I think it's really important to remember what happened in North Carolina. They were able to roll back all of these really progressive reforms like early voting, voting centers, because the Supreme Court in Shelby said, oh no, we don't have a problem with this anymore. So Section 5 essentially became inapplicable. And so in California, for us to have a very robust Voting Rights Act, I think is doubly important now. And interrupt.
Okay, this is helpful. One of the things I should mention to the panelists and also the folks who are going to be coming up later, we're going to be having a hearing on some of these very same issues and looking at this from a statewide perspective on, I think, March 25th up in Sacramento, and looking for, who should we be bringing in to help the committee kind of better understand these issues as well. So please, give us suggestions either now or later as well as we prepare for that hearing. But this was very, very helpful. Senator Hertzberg, do you have any questions, additional questions for the panel?